you don't get.
Somebody put this here.
No. Okay. I haven't seen it. I don't know. I'm just telling you.
Test, test.
It was wow.
I didn't get you that.
Test.
Yeah.
Test. Test 1, 2.
Feedback. I can give you feedback, honey, if that's what you want. Okay, just checking. Yeah.
That would be nice.
I don't know, I've lost roll call. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, how are you living? Doing well, all right.
Oh, I know this song. I don't, honey, I don't have a clue. Oh, they have that because he's here. Where's Donnie?
Turn it down, don't it?
Come here. Come talk to us, please. Please? Oh, well, yeah, he may not.
I should have. I was still outside, but they could have done more. They were gone.
Where's Goody? I know.
House Board of Works meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Hold on. Donnie Bryant is not here. Bill Bruner.
Present.
Police Chief Gene Hunnefeld.
Here.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Here.
Attorney Joe Votal. Utility Director Mel Davis.
Here.
EMS Bobby Mills.
Here.
Mayor Dennis Carr.
Here.
And myself.
Any announcements? Hearing none, approved minutes of previous meeting. I'll move. Second. All in favor?
You want to make it proven with that correction? Because that was Board of Works.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Committee report. New business, Jennifer Felix, recommendations for open positions.
Oh, I was going to say, is she here? Okay.
I'm right here.
No problem. I didn't see you.
I've completed my portion of the hiring process for the 3 positions that we have open, and I have my recommendations here. My first recommendation for the signs and markings laborer position is Mark Levern. My second recommendation for the general laborer position is J.B. Bartlett. And my third recommendation for the custodian position is Deidre Hawkins.
Any questions, board?
Deidre Hawkins.
Okay.
Any questions from the board?
Thank you. No, okay.
I entertain a motion.
Bruce, you did, Ms. Felix, you did everything as far as interviews.
Yeah, pre-screening with the applicants, make sure they met the minimum qualifications, conducted in-person interviews, and then also called references on them too.
Entertain a motion.
Motion to accept the recommendation.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Grand Hughes Fairgrounds Storm Sewer and Bid Award.
Yes, Your Honor, in your packet tonight is Fairground Storm Sewer Improvements. The bid was on August 14th. We have the recommendation of Paul H. Rowe for $71,160. If you look at the back sheet, you'll notice that Rowe Company is actually third. The low contractor has withdrawn their bid, which was Angel's Excavation. And the second bid, TT Maintenance and Contracting, did not include all the bid document requirements.
Where is this at in Fairgrounds?
Huh?
Where is this at in Fairgrounds?
Right through the front gate, to the left and to the right, there's already 12. We're going to fill that in the usable area.
Grant, can you repeat the amount?
$71,160.
Thank you.
More from board? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve recommendation, low bidder.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any old business?
Yeah, Mayor. We did the bid openings for the new fire truck, and I've got the results of those. We did have some discrepancy with some didn't meet the specifications, so I'll start from the bottom and read up on the company and price, if that's what the board wishes.
Go ahead.
The lowest bidder was KME. They were at $507,362. Crimson 911, $512,896. E1 Vogelpool, $563,905. Ferrara, $577,209. Sutphen, $577,500. Pierce Global, $615,600. And Seagrave Hoosier Fire at $647,246. The discrepancies come up with the two lowest bidders, the KME and the Crimson 911. Let me get my notes here. The Crimson, there was issues with the full depth and height of the compartments, which we asked for full depth and height, and they didn't meet that spec. Also, their hose bed is for 700 feet of 5-inch supply hose. Our minimum requirement's 1,000 feet, so there's another reason to remove their bid. And there was a total of 5 items with that, but those are probably the two major ones in our specification. The KME did not, actually they didn't even meet the concept of the truck that we were asking for. So Stokes basket storage along with backboards, severe duty interior, and the initial concept. So, but that still leaves E1, Ferrara. E1 is the lowest. Ferrara, Sutphen, Pierce Global, and Seagrave.
Your recommendation, Dwight?
Please.
What's your recommendation?
Well, of course, the most expensive one, but we're all right with the E1 at the third lowest. And also on these, there was some sole manufacturer providers. What we're looking at is trying to find we put it out there for the companies to be a sole manufacturer of the piece of apparatus, because that eliminated probably 10 additional bids. And the first two, or the first one, they couldn't meet that spec anyway. And I know I talked to our attorney about that issue also, so.
Is he one that was 563,905?
563,905.
Okay, no problem.
Anything from the board?
So is that, Joe, and that's the lowest responsible bidder, the third?
That's
Is it
correct.
A1?
I went over it with Mr. Tremaine and heard that the other two were not responsive as far as the bidding.
Also, I have another question. We had talked about possibly getting rid of, we were getting rid of one fire truck, I think the 80s model, and then there was also another one that we were talking about.
Well, we had discussion, the mayor and myself, and we felt that, he felt that we shouldn't complete our fleet anymore, so we would just be getting rid of the 1981.
The problem is, you got an apparatus, and we've got some very big industry here. Without we get ourselves in trouble, we start getting apparatus. I know when I was fire chief, we had some bad fire, we used every piece we ever had. I don't think we should get rid of it anymore than we have to. The 80 or the 82, isn't the Ford 82 model?
81.
81.
81 or 82.
That's,
80.
really doesn't meet our standards anymore for pump testing, things like that.
So what are we going to do with the 81?
We still got to find me and the mayor have talked about, we'll have to go away from here, but I'm sure we can find a department here in Indiana too.
Appreciate that.
That we could find it at home.
Self-taught for $1 or whatever, which would help them on some township or something. You want to look into some of that, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
We might get more than $1.
Well, you never know. But it helps some little rural area.
Sure.
Any more, John?
Nothing other, I can finish out my committee report.
First, let's do a motion on this. Any more, Bill Mo?
No.
Entertain a motion?
Make a motion to move with the lowest bidder, responsive bidder.
All in favor?
E1.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Go ahead, John.
Just for information, the department completed its first round of agility testing for the full-time and part-time firefighters. We got round 2 coming up Saturday. So I'm having the full-time and part-time guys, I'm pretty much making them do it. And it's working out quite well. It's an 8-station agility test on different functions we do in the fire service. So we'll be doing that Saturday again. Probably have one more, and then we're offering it to volunteer guys just on voluntary basis. But the guys that come in and work every day, we're having them do that. Just another note that if you see the firefighters during the month of October in pink shirts, we're going to show our support for breast cancer awareness while working down the firehouse. So
Very good.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Police Department. Police Department Chief Gene Hunfield.
Just one item, Mayor, we've talked about it several times this summer, but just to remind everybody, my staff informed me that parking was pretty bad at Ludlow Hill Park yesterday. Was there a special?
Actually, yeah, I was going to bring that up, Chief. We've talked about it before, how we have issues with parking up there, but I went up and it was at 11 o'clock when the games had just started, and I parked in the very back, and I think there were 5 spots left. And I can understand why people don't want to park clear in the back, but it wouldn't have mattered whether they did or they didn't, because there was just not enough parking, and that was from we left at 3:30, and there was still just it was really crazy up there. So
They said it was quite bad yesterday, and I know Mr. Todd and Mr. Clark have addressed it. Are we still taking ideas, or are you all moving forward with physical changes, whether it be more parking or chains or barricades?
Well, barricades along the roadway, we just haven't decided aesthetic-wise what it's going to be the the choice. But again, I think we're looking to try to identify more parking areas up there. The drive gets replaced on the next year's, I guess, ticket, isn't it?
Just being.
So possibly we may expand off of it.
Yeah, if you do.
No, we've been lucky. One thing about the driveway, the only good thing is it's not causing any damage,
Right.
but sooner or later it's going to catch up to us, and I hate to penalize the citizen and tell them to write mass parking tickets when, you know, our citizens are going up there supporting their
Sure.
children and friends and family.
If we put barricades up there, there would be no place to park. I mean, the people would be parking across the street, which, you know, that definitely wouldn't work. But I mean, it was just, there was a lot of people there. There were games all day, and I know we have, I think, 4 more home games, so it's gonna happen again.
We may just have to identify a remote site towards the park area, or the garage area.
The very front portion on the right-hand side, flat area, and put an overflow parking lot in there possibly.
We'll see if we can come up with some answers.
Yeah, I'd hate to, I mean, I would have hated to see people get ticketed or anything, because they were, I mean, there was just nowhere to park.
Pretty limited area.
Right. Well, we'll take a look at some alternative parking up there.
Any more, Gene?
No, sir.
Thank you. EMS Director, Bobby Mills.
Yeah, Mayor, we had 129 calls in the month of July, and I talked to Tony on the telephone today from Lifestar, and our truck went into the sign shop today. So we still might be looking, hopefully end of the month, maybe first week of September when it's all said and done. I'll keep you informed.
Thank you. Any more old business from anybody? All right, review and discuss claims, board approval.
A motion to approve the claims.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion adjourned. So moved. I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Utility Board, 5 minutes.
I know. I don't know.
Not much.
Don't have it. Thank you.
Come on, chat with her.
Any more agendas? All the agendas are gone?
Donnie Brown. Yeah, I need to ask that tonight. Get lost. Because if not, if nobody responds, nobody's going. If I have to do it, I'll run up and bring it. I will. Thank you. You know.
Hey, what are you doing?
Baby scissors in
Oh, okay. I am too. You pull that?
That's what.
They're too big for us now.
They canceled.
How'd they do that?
They canceled 7 or 9 shows.
They're going on tour with
Zach Brown.
Zach Brown.
$780,000.
They were estimated. Yeah, that's what they were.
So, you know, I don't blame them.
Yeah, that's the way they're gonna get their name out there with those guys.
How about, like, somebody come up to me and $500,000 salary for a job?
No thanks. I said no thanks.
Yeah.
What, you?
Need to get that in the budget for next year then.
Yeah.
Okay. Don said he-
Turn was Zach Brown.
I don't know. No one's told me anything. And I said, if no one tells me, they're not going.
They weren't already locked in?
I don't care.
Well, they haven't signed their contract, we signed it. They didn't sign it, so they're just in the meeting. Plus,
That was French League.
they,
Signing.
Probably from the last meeting, right? You've been there. Come on.
Everybody ready?
Yeah. Aaron's here, yeah. Yeah.
Call utility board meeting order. Roll call, please.
Member Jane Pope. Present. Member Aaron Cook. Here. Member Bill Bruner. Present. Member Mike Lawrence. Here. Member Doug Taylor.
Here.
Attorney Joe Votaw. Utility Director Mel Davis.
Here.
Mayor Dennis Carr. And myself.
Any announcements? Hearing none, approved minutes of the previous meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All against? Committee reports.
Thank you, Your Honor. The electric department, they've been busy installing wire and transformer pads at Lake Myers. They should be able to set some transformers tomorrow, and that should some energy to a couple of those apartment buildings. We'll also be installing wire at the in the Fall Fest area tomorrow. The water department has been working on the water valves and the project that we have ongoing, the water line on US 50 is going very well. Wednesday evening, if things go well tomorrow, Wednesday evening, we're going to install the valve cluster up at 50 and Walnut Street.
How long will it be down, Mel?
I'm thinking about an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
You guys might be aware of that.
Yeah, I'll let them know. I want to see how things go tomorrow, see if we have to postpone until next week or something. Still waiting on another quote back for the apartment building generator, and the financial reports for the utilities are in your packet. That concludes my report.
It did. It did.
Oh, you have, Mel?
That's all I call it.
Any new business?
A minute.
Hearing none, going on to old business.
I'd like to bring something up under old business.
Go ahead.
Just follow up on about the even billing. Is that still moving forward?
Yes, thanks for asking, Mr. Lawrence. We got the first part of the installment for the software today, and the plan is to let folks get used to the differences in the two, and then when the technicians come down to put it online, then we're going to restart that even billing. I'm still shooting for end of September, 1st of October.
Okay.
How will that work? I mean, as far as the even billing, that people will know how it works as far as maybe having some type of a community meeting or something?
We'll have a meeting, and I'll also put something in the bills, a letter to go out with the bills, so that anybody that wants to get on that will have to go.
I've just heard some of the senior citizens that way were very much interested in this.
I think that'll help a lot of people.
Any more? Here to discuss claims for board approval.
Motion to approve.
For a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Second.
Wait a minute, we need second.
All in favor?
Okay, I got second.
Aye.
You just want to go too quickly, don't you?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
Hang on. Member Jane Pope. Present. Member Aaron Cook. Here. Member Bill Bruner.
Present.
Member Mike Lawrence.
Here.
Member Doug Taylor.
Here.
Police Chief Gene Hunnefeld. Here. Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine. Here. Attorney Joe Votaw. Utility Director Mel Davis.
Here.
EMS Bobby Mills.
Here.
Mayor Dennis Carr.
Here.
And myself.
Any announcements? Hearing none, approved minutes of previous meeting.
I've got one correction, Mayor. Common Council, second page, last paragraph. Motion to allow CMAC to use the stage and give them a $500 donation for advertising, and it should be for other expenses.
Okay. Advertising and other expenses.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any more? Need a motion to approve the meeting or the minutes?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it. Committee reports. Beach Island Curb, Aaron Cook.
The only thing I have, Your Honor, is the thing I usually bring up. I guess the rose bushes in front of U.S. Bank are blocking the view. I haven't been by there to look, but someone told me about it tonight, so I just wanted to bring that up. At the corner of Center and Mary. No Vine.
Vine.
Yeah.
They didn't get those yet?
They trimmed the back about a month and a half ago.
Like I said, I went by today, but actually it was Lee.
We'll take care of it.
Any more, Aaron?
No, that's it, Your Honor.
Finance, Jane Pope.
Myself and Mike Lawrence reviewed all claims and invoices, and information's in the packet.
Okay. Any more? Fire Department, Bill Bruner.
Nothing further than Fire Chief had.
Police Chief Gene Honeyfield.
No report, Mayor.
Fire Chief Johnny Tremaine.
Nothing further. I'll speak on the other later.
EMS Bobby Mills.
No further report, man.
Building Inspector Carl Fryman.
We have falls underneath our new ordinance, which I guess will be presented later. That's all our department's carrying right now.
Good enough. New business. Richard Pettit, parking house. Our issues with it. I'm gonna limit this 5 minutes for everybody talking.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On this parking side, it's just one side of the public street, what everybody says, has got the problem. The other side don't have that problem. But I don't know why. I think something should be done, because Horseshoe apartment is one room. One people got 3 cars parked there. Another person's got 2, and then there's another person's got 2. I don't care what you say, but it's not right. That's a one-room apartment. I'm not saying if it was a house, it'd be different, but it's not a house. There's no call for it.
I agree with you, Richard, but I think the ordinance says you can park a car for 7 days, you don't have to move it.
Well, I think somebody should talk to the owner of Horseshoe and have him write up a contract in there, and when they move in there, there's only one car. Well, you're taking one room, and you can put 3 guys in that one room, and there'll be about 6 cars out there. So what? I don't go along with that ordinance anyway.
That's an old ordinance. It's been around a long time.
Well, I'm gonna write another letter. I'll let you people know I'm gonna write another letter to somebody else. Because this is a bad situation. They don't have no consideration for the elderly up there or nothing. They just here come, it's just like a little ghetto. They come in, they say, I'll take this spot. Take it. You know, that's all you can do. And they get up there and they take them spots, and I have to carry my own groceries almost a half a block just to get in the house. That's not right. I don't care what anybody says. And there's other people that does it too.
Mr. Pettit, how many spots are in front of the Horseshoe apartment on the street there?
I don't know how many spots, but me and another guy went down the street, both sides, and measured off that if you reverse the parking, you would gain 7 more parking spots. Just reverse it, that's all. Make it a one-way down, you'd have 7, 8 more spots parking. On both sides, not just one.
How many units are up there? Is there 8 units or 10 at the Horseshoe?
There's 12, there's 11, really.
I don't think there's 11 spots. Yeah.
Well, some of them don't even have a vehicle.
Parking's very limited over there anyway.
Your Honor, we are looking to change that direction, that flow, and we discussed it at a previous meeting, from the alley that enters into Whiskey's. Of course, that'd be one way from there to Water. And we would put angle on both sides, but we've got to get a hold of the property owners because there's a lot of curb cuts in here. There's a couple driveways that are not being used. So we're making a change in the foot angle parking on both sides.
Up the street, we was waiting till the construction was over?
Correct, and Water line.
It's going to be one way from the alley down to Water Street?
Correct.
I think we have to do an ordinance change for that.
Correct. Once we, again, we're mapping it out now, finding how many spots we can get in there. First, we have to contact the property owners, see if they're going to volunteer to put, give up their curb cuts.
I want to tell you something else. The woman's not here tonight, but down there at Sunshine Corners, I seen people actually stop on Front Street to get out to let their kids go in the school there. And she was raising Cain about it, and I said, told her what she got to do is come up here and talk to you about it. They said that people pays her money for them to park there to get their kids into school.
Still public street, but they park.
That's what I hear. That's why everything I hear is a public street, public street.
Richard, the only thing is it's an apartment problem. It's not only there on 2nd Street, it's in other areas of the city as well that have the same type of complaint. There's just not enough off-street parking on the part, and the different people in the apartments have more than one vehicle.
Yeah.
So it's not just, that's just not the only area in the city of Lawrenceburg that has that same problem. Because over here on the east side of town, you have the same thing as well. That's why the residential parking and all went in when the casinos did, and then they finally did away with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not just in your area that problem is there. It's throughout the city as well.
Mike, in the ordinance for apartments, there are so many parking spots?
For any new apartment, any new development, yes, it's just, in that situation, the Horseshoe apartments are very old. They fall under the legal existing non-conformance. Yeah, anything that's been built since 95 has had the required minimum off-street parking spaces. Of course, that development there predates that.
Richard, they're going to have to work on the problem.
All right, I'm mentioning it, that's all.
See what we can do, Nick.
All right, thank you.
Suzanne, Big Brothers Big Sisters.
You may go to the podium.
Yes, please.
Suzanne Orndorff, Advisory Board Member, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Greater Cincinnati subdivision of Dearborn County, Harrison, Ohio. I come to the board tonight, I hope that everybody got this in their packets. I'm not going to waste your time to sit here and go over those statistics. It's pretty much what anybody could get off of the internet. But I do want to let you know I would not be here if it wasn't something that I didn't fully believe in and put myself behind. I wouldn't even come before you. It's a wonderful thing. The organization just does a tremendous amount for the kids, especially in Dearborn County. I realize we are part of the greater Cincinnati area, but that's because we have to be a subdivision unless we were like with Indianapolis or something. So that's the closest one we have to us. Big Brothers Big Sisters is not a parenting group, it's a mentorship. There's a lot of at-risk children, parents that are in and out of jail, single parents that the kids are bounced from family member to family member. I'll tell you, for myself as a single parent, it's very difficult to keep positive influences around your children. And, we can't correct the whole world, we can't correct the whole county, but they're trying to do their best with what they have. In Dearborn County, this is another part of how I was brought into this. My son is a junior at Lawrenceburg High School, and some of the kids were approached of becoming a big. We call them bigs, we call them littles. And the littles are the participants in that are from the elementary school and the primary school. My son Alex was interested in this, and anyone that is interested in becoming a big must go through a very strenuous interview process. They interviewed his teachers, they interviewed his counselors. The Big Brother sponsor interviewed him as well, and I was contacted, which is how I actually got involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters, through his involvement. And basically what I'm coming to ask tonight, our biggest fundraiser is Bowl for Kids' Sake. I don't know if anyone in the audience or you guys are familiar with that. They're the little bowling pens, paper pens. We've had them at the Brickyard Community Center. I think possibly the Adult Center sold some too, the bowling alley. They're sold for $1 a piece. We got a few $100s for that last year. Gary Rolfos is tremendous with donating the bowling alley to us for this Bowl for Kids' Sake. And I guess what I'm coming to ask is if the city would consider becoming either a sponsor or a team sponsor for Bowl for Kids' Sake. It's not something I need a decision on tonight, but I'm coming to you now because I know the MDF budget will be discussed and considered in the near future for next year. And our event actually is March 10th. The cost for that for a lane sponsor, which your name would, the city of Lawrenceburg would go on a plaque in front of the lane where all the kids bowl. These are bigs, these are littles. These are company sponsors. We have 2 different bowling tournaments is what they are. And that cost is $100. What I'd really like you to consider is to be a team sponsor. That's $500 for a team. You can either set up a team of City of Lawrenceburg employees, council, however you want to do it, members. What I'd like to envision, and I'm going to approach the city of Greendale, the same thing, and would like to have a little friendly competition among cities. But those are the costs. I'm just asking maybe for a commitment tonight or at least consideration.
Anything board? When did you say that?
March 10th is Bowl for Kids' Sake. That's the fundraiser.
Anybody have anything else?
I'd like to see us maybe do a team. I know we have a lot of bowlers that are employees. I don't know if any of y'all bowl, but I know we have a lot of employees that bowl, so.
I think it's a team of 6, I believe. It's 5 or 6. So.
You want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to be a team sponsor for $500.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it. Thank you, Suzanne.
Second thing I'm on the agenda for, that's actually work-related. I hope that everybody got Resolution 13 in their packet and were able to read it and review. Yes?
I have it.
Okay. This is just very customary. It's a national mandate enforced by the state. It's a resolution, basically just a requirement that the city must enact this resolution and include the city's adoption. And basically, it is, I'm sorry, I'm reading, which I do probably worse than just talking. The resolution includes the city's adoption and the grievance procedure under the ADA. It's been reviewed by legal, So we're asking you to accept Resolution 13. I don't think I need to read that, correct, Joe? I hope not.
Make a motion to read for title only. Everybody reviewed it?
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
A resolution adopting notice provisions and grievance procedure of the Americans with Disability Act in the city of Lawrenceburg.
Got a motion?
So move.
For a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll probably be coming to the board with some of our suggestions that things may need to change. Mr. Fryman is the ADA coordinator.
He's the
so-
ADHD,
Yeah.
aren't you?
He's doing a good point, I forgot to bring
Thank
it up.
you.
ADHD. Yeah, that's what he said.
The scary part is they give him a badge.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Votal, joint resolution with Dearborn County.
Yes, you had in your packet a joint resolution authorizing an interlocal agreement between the city of Lawrenceburg and the county of Dearborn having to do with they're tearing down a couple buildings over on West High Street, which
About time.
money's already been appropriated for. Anybody got any questions?
That's Shumway building and your old building, right?
That's correct.
Your motion to read title only.
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
All in
Who
favor?
who made the motion, please? Bill, okay, thank you. You need to speak up, sweetie. It's hard to
All in
hear.
favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Against?
Jackie, would that be resolution 2012, what, 14 then, since Susan?
13, yeah, it would be
Yeah.
14. Okay.
Lawrenceburg City Council Resolution 2012-14, joint resolution authorizing an interlocal agreement between the city of Lawrenceburg and the county of Dearborn.
Your motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Ayes have it.
Who seconded, please?
Aaron.
Oh, Aaron? Okay, thank you, sorry. Off in somewhere else.
Yeah, I've got that ordinance.
And I don't know what number that is. Suzanne, did we give him a number?
No, I didn't even know the ordinance was on here.
Well, I thought somebody said the other day Leslie called about a number.
Teresa did. I don't know
Okay,
if any, I
that's
don't know
fine.
what was.
No
said
problem.
on that.
I'll have to give it a number, like tomorrow. Thank you, dear.
Oh, we got an ordinance. You have in your packet ordinance, another, I'm not sure which one it is.
I don't know what number.
2012. It's an ordinance amending Section 150, reporting, monitoring, and prevention of lead poisoning. I'm going to read it. An ordinance amending Title 15, Chapter 150 of the Code and Ordinance of the City of Lawrenceburg, include reporting, monitoring, and prevention of lead poisoning, and incorporate Indiana Administrative Code Title 410 IAC 32, whereas the Common Council of the City of Lawrenceburg has authority pursuant to the statutory and home rule powers to adopt this ordinance, and whereas the Common Council wishes to monitor and prevent such lead exposure and empower the Board of Works and its departments to exercise the powers under Indiana Administrative Code Title 410 IAC 32 concerning such lead reporting, monitoring, and prevention, and now therefore be ordained by the Common Council of the City of Lawrenceburg. An amendment be made to the Lawrenceburg Code of Ordinances, Title 15, Chapter 150, entitled Unsafe Buildings, enumerated as Section 150.46 to read as follows. 150.45, reporting, monitoring, and prevention of lead poisoning. Adoption of the lead-based paint program. The Common Council of the City of Lawrenceburg hereby adopts Indiana Administrative Code Title 410 IAC 32, which establishes a law for reporting, monitoring, and prevention of lead poisoning, including powers of members to do so. The appointment of the department to administer ordinance. The Board of Works is appointed to administer these provisions as adopted by the Common Council. C, construction. Any reference to state statute shall mean the statute is amended from time to time, or any similar statutory provision that may supersede it relating to the same or similar subject matter. D, penalty for violation. Violations of this ordinance shall be addressed as established in said Indiana Administrative Code, and as it may be amended from time to time as well as the penalty provisions in section 150.99 of the Lawrenceburg Code of Ordinances. E, severability. Should any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, or any other portion of this ordinance be declared by a court of competent jurisdiction to invalidate for any reason, the remaining provisions shall be affected if and only if such remaining provisions can, without the invalid provision or provisions, be given the effect intended by the council in adopting this ordinance. To this end, the provisions of this ordinance are severable. F, effective date, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon adoption, ordained and passed the blank day of August 2012 at blank PM in accordance with the applicable law by the council of the city of Lawrenceburg, Durham County, Indiana.
Entertain a motion to approve the first reading.
So moved.
Your second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Need a motion to suspend the rules, read the ordinance.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Reading for the second time by title only, ordinance number blank 2012, ordinance amending chapter 150, reporting, monitoring, and prevention of lead poisoning.
There a motion to ordinance?
So moved.
Your second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Motion to suspend the rules for its third and final reading?
No motion. I've left my papers at the office. Now I'm confused.
He's right.
Suspend the
Huh?
rules third
He's
time.
right.
Is he? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Final reading only.
So moved.
Moved.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Ordinance number blank 2012, ordinance amending chapter 150, reporting, monitoring, and prevention of lead poisoning.
There a motion approved?
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Paul Seymour Jr., construction debris and disposal.
I'm here tonight to bring something to the attention of the council. I ain't one to complain a whole lot, but I have something aggravate me, and I'm going to bring it out in the open. I'm not one to, I'm saying it in front of everybody. We've been playing by the rules. I've spent $11,800 at E-Town dump for dumpsters. I know guys around town that's got apartments that work on them all the time. They always get dumpsters. I know a young couple right now that's remodeling a house over on Center Street. Ain't got any money. City turned them down on a dumpster, so they got to rent one. I know another fellow he's a homeowner that rents his house out. Right now he's in the process of remodeling the house. He got told he couldn't set stuff out by the curb. They wasn't going to pick it up. However, I'm sitting in my garage. I'm doing my bills. I'm looking out the window. Plus, I ride around on the streets a lot watching my guys. I watched him pull in the city gate. I went right on by it. I go back home. I watch him load another truck up, pickup truck, not a big dump truck or nothing. They go back to the city garage. This time, I followed them. I went in. I asked her, I said, am I doing something wrong? Is there any way I can save me some money on dumpsters? Can I bring my stuff over here? Well, no, you can't do that. I'm like, well, why? I'm building houses. This fella, and guys, I know him and I like him. That don't make no difference. He bought the house next to me, and I'm glad he bought it. It's been sitting there for 2 years. We've been fighting bugs. I'm glad, so I'm very glad he bought it. I'm sure he'll do a good job picking it up and making it nice. However, she told me, I'll put a stop to it, Paul. I would have never been up here if
it would have got a stop put to it. If they think that they put a stop to it because then he carries a whole bunch of stuff out and puts it by the alley, and then we got city employees come over there and pick it up for him, that was going to make me happy. On a Thursday, when they don't even run the garbage trucks down my alley, he had another pile out. Huge piles, guys. Carl, all I want is do we have a policy that I'm missing out on? Is there any way I can get a garbage truck to swing by my houses 3 or 4 times a week to pick up the garbage from my houses on my dumpster debris?
I talked to this individual you're talking about. I told him you gotta get a dumpster from now on. If he's putting a lot out there, they're not gonna pick it up, they're gonna make him get a dumpster.
There's 2 people involved in this, Mr. Mayor. I think they deserve a nice butt chewing. I ain't here on no witch hunt. I don't want nobody to lose their job. I'm not like that. I'm not a guy that believes for a second that anybody ought to ever lose their job. But whoever he can call that is taking that phone call, they should get punished, and they should get a butt chewing with some teeth marks left on them, because it ain't right. It's not right.
We'll tomorrow, I guarantee you.
I hope it gets done, and I want them to have a good one.
From now on, yes.
All right.
Pay for it. Pay for it.
And pay for it.
That's all I'm asking is everybody gets treated the same. There's rules here.
If I catch somebody doing little favors like that, I will deal with them. I guarantee I will.
I'm all right with some things, but you know what? When you sit there and you look at it, and then you're looking at bills come in from E-Town at $450 a whack, and then I know people that ain't got no money, and they could use the help. He didn't buy that house to live in it. If he'd have bought that house to live in it, I wouldn't have said a word. He bought it to sell it or rent it.
If you see somebody picking it up, you call me, and I'll come right over.
It's just been bugging me, and I wanted to say it. That's it.
I agree with you. Thanks, Bo. Mike Lawrence, lawn repair at 415 Sunny Slope Drive.
Yeah, I included a letter in the packet for everybody. We'd talked about this address, about the concrete issues a few meetings ago. And I think there I mentioned something about he had to fix his lawn. And he had some expenses on taking care of his lawn, which wasn't put back the way it was. And I included that for the board to consider about reimbursing him for fixing his lawn, which was a total of $604.73.
Anything from the board?
Who messed it up?
Right.
O'Meara, I think.
Why should they pay for it?
Well, it's a good question.
Was this a utility deal or what was it? You know what it was?
That was the street work, wasn't it?
From where they done the street.
They did the street.
They never come in and fix it?
They didn't fix it very well, and he's reseeded it, and
You go
I think
there, I'll pay that
topsoil.
bill.
I do too.
Could you contact tomorrow, Mario?
Sure. Will you be in touch with the property owner? Can you, after you talk to the mayor, can you get in touch with the property owner?
Will do. Any more, Mike?
That's it. Thank you.
Keith Tremaine, orders change.
I'll go to the mayor.
I have, oh, it's this.
All right, in your packet, I submitted a amendment to the current burn ordinance that we have in our ordinances, which our current ordinance restricts property owners on certain hours they can burn at their residence. A few years back, the popularity of a burn pit, which is an outdoor fireplace, it's either a chimney or the round type, got real popular. So we run into a lot of these during our travels in the fire department. And our thought is, if we can't control citizens buying them, we can give them guidance on how to use them. And what I'm asking is to amend the ordinance to the document that I had passed out in the packets. I did have our city attorney review it.
He was okay with it. As of right now, that doesn't mean everybody can run to Lowe's and buy one and burn one tonight, because we're still under burn ban in the county. But those restrictions do apply. I believe those are on the back page of the ordinance itself. But Deputy Chief Schutte, he did a lot of legwork on this. This is something we've been dealt with for several years now, and it's time we take care of it. And I think if we give the guidance, we'll be all right with it. Anybody have any questions? Did you get to read it? It's pretty thorough and defining. There is one, Joe, you and Jackie, I'll give everybody a new copy. There was an amendment to this on number 3, the firebox. It said 1.5 inches. It's supposed to be a 1/2 inch. So, and what it is a spark arrestor to help knock the spark around. So, anybody got any questions?
Very good.
I'm gonna go ahead and hand these out to everybody.
It's just a revised one, went from 1.5 inches back.
Can you have this one?
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, we'll read the ordinance out loud.
No, we're going to do the fire pit.
Chief, I have a question. This is an amendment.
And it says, these are all white people here. Can't tell from the town.
We're going to have to put this in a different format.
Please.
We're probably going to have to put this in a different format for the next.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, we're still under burn ban anyway. It doesn't, just as long as we can keep moving, that's fine. You going to take care of that, or do you?
I will.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Entertain a motion to table this next meeting.
So moved.
A second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All against. Nick Cowell, Authority of the Loan and Grant Committee.
Thank you. I will be brief, but in light of your 5-minute time limit, I'll defer the questions till the end of my remarks if there are questions. I was called and asked about the authority of the loan committee to make binding decisions irrespective of what the council may wish. I inquired for the ordinances that establish and describe the powers of the loan committee. I had a conversation with Joe and was told that this was handled as one of the select committees, that that it was not a standing committee, and that there are no ordinances. Did everyone receive the packet of statutes that I sent out last week? That's what I'm going to be working from, and as I said, I'll be very brief. If you turn to the first page of the packet, Indiana Code 36-1-3-6B, if there is no constitutional or statutory provision requiring a specific manner for exercising a power, a unit, which would include the city of Lawrenceburg, wanting to exercise the power must either, and then subsection 1 is the one that applies, if the unit is a county or municipality, adopt an ordinance prescribing a specific manner for exercising the power. What that means is if you want to have a loan committee that actually exercises a power on behalf of the city of Lawrenceburg, you have to do it by ordinance. It can't be done as one of these select committees, but we have to have an ordinance that spells out its powers and actually creates the loan committee. If we turn the page in the statutory provisions, we'll get to a couple of additional. Actually, let's turn a couple of pages. I'm reading from Division of Powers of Cities, and this comes from 36-4-4, and I'm concentrating on 2 sections. First of all, separation of powers, which is subsection 2. The powers of a city are divided between the executive and legislative branches of its government. A power belonging to one branch of the city's government may not be exercised by the other branch. And then I want to refer to what is a specific legislative power. You're the legislative body. That's at 36-4-6-18. The legislative body may pass ordinances, orders, resolutions, and motions for the government of the city, the control of the city's power and finances, or property and finances, and the appropriation of money. What this means is if you want to have a loan committee that would exercise binding authority to make decisions, and the same would go, I've been asked since I began looking in the loan committee, the same would go for the grant committee as well, that would make binding decisions rather than simply advise this council. They would make binding decisions on behalf of the city of Lawrenceburg concerning how its money is to be spent. You would need to do that by ordinance, and you would need to spell out specifically the conditions that those committees are to consider for purposes of what it's going to do. So where you are now with a loan committee that hasn't been created by ordinance and is apparently acting on behalf of the city of Lawrenceburg with binding decisions, that doesn't follow the statutes here. The final statute that I would point to, the irony here is that the legislature contemplated that there could be situations where there may be confusion and disagreement about who does what in city government. And there's a section to deal precisely with that. It's Indiana Code 36-4-4-5, uncertainty or dispute in nature of power or duty. In subsection A, if uncertainty exists or a dispute arises concerning the executive or legislative nature of a power or duty exercised or proposed to be exercised by a branch, officer, department, or agency of the government of a municipality, a petition may be filed in the circuit court of the county in which the municipality is located by the municipal executive, another municipal elected official, the president of the municipal legislative body, or any person who alleges and establishes to the satisfaction of the court that the person is or would be adversely affected by the exercise of the power. And then there's a process set out for how the court is to resolve that. It's essentially supposed to be a streamlined process for resolving precisely these kinds of issues when there appears to be disagreement about how something is to be done. And if there continues to be doubt or uncertainty about the powers of either the loan or grant committee to act outside the final authority of this council, I would encourage you to look at that statute to resolve it. That concludes my remarks. If there are questions, I'm happy to take them.
Any questions?
I have a question on something else while you're here, if that's okay, if nobody's got any other questions.
I'll try to.
Let's just go up first.
Okay.
Any questions on this?
So the council has the final approval as far as on the loans or grants?
Yes, and I'm not sure what authority the loan or grant committee is attempting to exercise now. I looked for an ordinance on a grant committee. I couldn't find one. I didn't ask Joe specifically about that. That question came up after I asked about the loan, but absent some ordinance which spells out what they're doing or how they're supposed to do it and what they're to consider, the loan and grant committee do not exercise final authority.
The audience asked a question?
Wait a minute, I'll do it here in a little bit.
So my understanding is if we have a grant committee, it makes a recommendation back to council and we have the final approval, denial.
Well, again, I can't find anything that establishes the grant committee, but that...
So we don't even have an established grant committee?
I'm assuming it's another select committee that was created probably on a motion. Your select committees are intended by your city code to be sort of temporary, discrete purpose committees. Generally, the way the code is worded, in an advisory capacity, they make a report back to the council. So if your grant committee was established by some motion as a select committee, that's how I would interpret it. Yeah, they make an advisory report.
For the grant committee?
Pardon?
No ordinance for the grant committee?
I could not find an ordinance written for the grant committee. Joe, if I'm wrong about that, let me know.
They've been doing this since 2005, before we even come in.
No ordinance for the loan committee?
There is none for the loan.
Which is an easy fix if there's not.
Adopt an ordinance to create them would be a...
Answer a little bit. First of all, I have no reason to disagree with you, Nick. And a matter of fact, time, we are in a process of creating ordinances for both, which will also ratify any prior actions by the loan committee and the grant committee. Of course, they will have to be passed by council. There is a new program for the loan committee, which I think this council is going to like. It's not in its final form yet, but I'm sure it'll be out very shortly. Mr. Hughes, is that correct?
Yes.
Which you'll have plenty of time to take a look at, and I think it will. It's geared toward helping the citizens of Lawrenceburg, especially homeowners. Has such things as loans, low interest loans with forgiveness after 4 or 5 years of performance. I hope that will be very palatable for the council. As I say, right now we're in the process of doing 2 ordinances, one for the grant committee, because we can't find anything on the grant committee right now. I know it's there, but I don't really think there was an ordinance done. I wasn't involved, but that will be taken care of, and I thank you for coming down tonight.
But as far as going through the process, as far as the loans or grants or what have you, the council would have the final say-so as far as on those, and then it would be, if it was a vote that the mayor didn't agree with, he'd have the option, he could veto it.
Well, it depends upon what the powers are set up in the ordinance. I think you agree with that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if, with a caveat, if you're going to create binding final authority in these committees that would not come back before the council for final say, you're going to have to be extremely careful to spell out exactly the circumstances that committee is to consider for purposes of making its decisions, or otherwise you've engaged in an illegal delegation of legislative authority. So you can't just by ordinance create a loan committee and say you get to decide, because that's ultimately a legislative decision, and so you got to spell out, all right, these, you decide, and these are the things that are going to guide your consideration. If you find X, Y, and Z, then you go forward. So you'll need to be careful in that ordinance to make sure that you don't engage in an unlawful delegation of your legislative authority. But
doesn't it say council cannot give grants and loans?
Pardon?
Council cannot give grants and loans.
Where are we?
It's in statute. Not statute you have.
Well, the council controls the city's finances. So if there is to be a grant or a loan, it's going to have to come through a legislative.
Right.
Yeah.
To answer your question, Mr. Taylor, and the loans were always approved by the council. They have been from the start. I don't think that's going to change. What we got to do is figure out on the grants whether we're going to allow these people, once the money is appropriated, it does not come back to the city, which you're aware of, right? Once it's appropriated goes into that 10-county grant fund, it does not come back to the city. You're a member of it, and you.
Well, but I mean, what about like the foundation, like we just had the last meeting? They had a recommendation, and then there was 2 of them that we just agreed to give the full amount. Council did.
I know, and I would hope you would discontinue that, doing that, but mainly because what you're doing is these people do the due diligence and they're making the decisions.
Well, I'm just giving that as an example.
Right. But that's a different animal than the 10-county grant. You understand that? That's an agreement with, at the time, with
the foundation.
State, governor, et cetera. You understood that?
Didn't we just have resolutions brought back before us from the 10-county grant program? Resolutions that we just passed to approve for the 10?
I think you've approved some grants, Jane, not recently. I think it's been earlier this year on the first go-around. You approved the grants, yes.
Or they might have been their local agreements. You just had some interlocals, Joe.
Interlocal agreements,
yeah,
I think.
Well,
those
Joe,
grants.
You're talking about an agreement with the governor, with the state or whatever, but it's my understanding at the grant committee meeting that even our state representative was against a grant that said that's not for economic development, how is he supposed to go back to the state and report this is what you're doing with the money that's intended for economic development?
Well, it's made up of certain people, Mike, and there was a vote.
There was a vote, he got outvoted.
Well,
That's what a
And
board does.
it's not the
Anyway,
first grant
in
that's not
order-
been
in
given
order
for economic
to-
development.
In order to close this conversation, ordinances are being in the process of being prepared. I'm going to go ahead and do the grant also, and I will, if you want me to, I will contact Nick. That's not a problem.
yes, please. I have this other question. Should I ask it now? Or?
Go ahead now. You got any more, Nick?
No, I have nothing further on that.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'll try to answer your question.
I'm new at this and going through the budget process we started for next year, and I was going through department budgets, and I just happened to, there was a couple department heads, like I noticed the amount of money, it was like, I don't know, roughly 30% increases in pay. So I was like sticker shock. And then come to find out, I guess these raises have already been given this year. And it was never brought before council or anything. Is that
Merit raise, the
right?
mayor's allowed to give merit raises. I brought the chief of police up, he was the lowest paid chief of police in Dearborn County. I brought him up to standards. The mayor is allowed to give merit raises. I told him, look in this budget, find the money, which he did.
Like 30%?
That brings him up.
And he was the lowest paid in Dearborn County.
Can you speak more than I could on that?
Mayor, I didn't realize it was going to be a topic of discussion, so I'm not prepared to speak at all.
But he was one of the lowest.
So that's probably...
Well, I would disagree respectfully with what the mayor just said. Yes, he's got the authority to recommend increases, but we've talked about this, I think, in a prior council meeting. City salaries are set by ordinance by this body. All city employees, other than police and fire, the mayor recommends a salary, and you can reduce it, but you can't increase it. Police and fire are set by this body, by ordinance. So what I would tell you is that's something that, and I'm not speaking to whether or not the raise should be given or not, I don't know that, but ultimately that's the role for this council.
Thank you.
Anything else?
More.
Thank you.
I'll do old business, let the people speak. Any old business?
Now, what about this? Up there. Are we gonna do that?
Motion to stay further action.
Yeah. I don't know if that was Nick's or what. This.
Oh, actually, that is Jane.
Huh?
Oh.
I think that's Jane.
Okay, there's no name by it, okay.
The motion to stay further action on proposed loan. I don't know, does it have any name or anything on it?
I'll go ahead and address that, Mayor. Because of the issue of the loan committee and where it stands and the status on if it even exists or what the guidelines are, I move that we stay further action on the proposed loan to Jones Properties that was approved by the council at our last meeting, pending further guidelines set up for loans by the council.
What exactly you want to do?
I want to hold up on Mr. Jones' loan until the loan committee is established and guidelines are established, and then I want him to reapproach the city council or the loan committee, however we decide to set it up, to move forward.
First of all, the loan committee has been established. We have to do an ordinance to make it legal.
So the next step is for Mr. Jones just to go before the loan committee then?
After we do the ordinance.
After we do the ordinance.
After the ordinance
The
is
council
done.
has to approve the ordinance first, though, Jane.
Yeah, but after that's done, then he would go
Through the
through.
process again.
Uh-huh.
I can allow this to move forward to the loan committee then?
After we do the ordinances. Ordinances have to come before you guys, Jane, setting up the two committees that Joe's gonna do. Once that's established, then he can come back. to whichever committee, the loan or whatever. Okay?
Can I consult with council for a minute?
Yeah, because I think I'm hearing two different messages. To what I think I hear the motion, I think what I heard her say was,
don't do anything on that loan until after you've got this committee set up, or whatever it is. And I don't know, did you approve something at a prior council meeting? And
Yes.
so I think that's what her motion is. I think she's saying essentially the same thing you're saying.
But then I thought she said it was okay for him to go to the loan committee.
If that's what is established.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but right now it's not established. Okay, we're
I think what she says is don't give any money to him.
I'm not giving any money to anybody. We're probably talking the same thing, you're right.
I think so.
Okay.
I hope so.
We'll wait till we get an ordinance and we'll go from there.
So just forget what I just said.
That's okay.
Do you want to put it in a motion?
I need to talk to council for a second.
You got a motion. Did somebody second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor? All against?
Okay.
We can't do anything. I mean,
And-
there's nothing established, so it's like, it's kind of useless to
Okay.
do it until everything's established.
So the
Then,
motions should say that.
I want to talk to council. May I exercise my right to talk to council in private?
Go.
I call for recess.
5 minutes.
we can't do anything. You know what I mean? I know, but we can't do anything. Something's...
Motion's fine.
Too late. That's what I'm saying, though. It's a measure statute. I mean, it's not doing anything because there's nothing, you know, obviously there's nothing established. Right?
No, put your hand over.
Use all my taxpayer money she wants to pay her attorney. You're going to let these people sit up here, these good old boys, and do this crap? They're not doing nothing wrong. Hire him. How many promises have just been fulfilled by this?
Take it outside.
I'm going to take it outside.
Okay, don't do it in here. You've got to talk outside.
Yeah, well, that's apparently where things happen outside. It is, but it's for the
All right, moving on.
Okay.
Whole business.
All right.
No, Jane, do you still want to say something, Jane?
I move that we stay further action on the proposed loan to the Jones Properties until we get the loan committee appropriation.
You put that in motion.
Yeah.
Here a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Jane? Yes.
Yes.
No.
Ben? Okay. Bill?
No.
Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Doug?
Yes.
Okay. 3 yeses.
No scare.
Okay.
Is that all? Moving on to old business.
Can Mr. Jones speak?
No, he'll wait till I get ready for the meetings.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Any old business?
No.
Oh, one thing.
Oh, Mike, okay.
At the last meeting, I think it was, Joe, you was gonna look in about the checks for
Oh.
planning.
Planning.
Yeah.
And I can't find anything in the state that talks about for pay. Our ordinance talks salary, so I think you're all right. That's my opinion.
Okay, and since talking about salary, on the salary ordinance, they're not paying.
What you're
by
talking
the
about
salary
is,
ordinance.
what you're talking about
What?
is paying on commissions, right, Mike?
Huh?
You're talking about paying like
Oh,
any
no,
commissions,
because it says
zoning
$100, they're only
board
paying, yeah.
kind of-
Well,
Yeah, if they don't have a meeting,
Yeah. It's okay to
An
take the
actual-
checks,
yeah.
right?
But our ordinance says salary.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
it says,
to me, that-
actually,
That's wrong. I can amend that too.
but this is what it is right now, right?
No.
Well, the one I
75.
have,
Which one do you have?
it says per meeting
Oh,
is what it says.
In our ordinance?
Yeah, right here.
well, in the salary ordinance. I probably have just,
Then we got a discrepancy in the ordinances because I read on the committees, I thought, that said
Okay.
salary.
okay. Per meeting. Okay.
Oh, okay, but the ordinance itself, this is a
Okay.
salary ordinance, right?
Yeah.
I know our ordinance, it talks about salaries for committees.
Okay.
I don't know, whatever you guys want to do, it's your interpretation.
It's gonna be more if you do it per meeting, I'm sure. It'll probably be more if you do it per meeting.
But it's stated in there as far as salary, as far as for, I mean, that's for the committees as a whole, all committees that's made out, it's not specified as far as what committees.
You asking me?
Yes, sir.
Certain amount per committee.
I think it was generally committees, but Doug, don't hold me to it, I don't have that.
Well, I mean, if it's stated salary,
I
then
read it
it's
to
not,
Mike over the phone, I think.
it's not an issue as far as the salary, but I mean, if it's per meeting, there's an issue.
Well, can we
Understand that.
change the ordinance to make it read clear?
I
that-
have to amend
whatever
the
you guys
ordinance.
wanna
Yes, I
do.
can. I can do
You
that.
guys want to get paid per meeting, you want a salary and get, everybody gets paid where the.
Well, can it say something like such a meeting or a max of, so it would come out the
Whatever you
same?
want to do.
So there's not a.
Okay.
If you just do salary, though, that would take care of it to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's already in there, except that in the
Yeah,
salary
but-
ordinance,
yeah,
it goes per
yeah,
meeting.
Yeah.
So we
That's the way
got,
the salary ordinance always has
It just needs
been.
to be amended, like Jackie said.
Yeah, I have to amend it anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Any more old business?
I don't know if it's old business or anything, but I just found out, coming here was called about a meeting tomorrow, grant loan committee.
Right.
I checked my emails, I don't have an email, and nobody called me about it.
You're not on the committee.
He's on the grant.
No, it's grant and loan. That's not the 10 county grant.
Oh, okay. Well, I
Oh,
wasn't calling.
okay. I didn't
more.
know. Okay.
I got a question on that. So, the loan committee that was created is grant/loan committee?
Grant, yeah. It's the grants.
Local
besides the
grants,
10 county
okay.
grants. If anything lingering from the old grants is what was put done for.
Which consists of the people you just appointed to the loan committee?
Right.
It's not the 10 county.
No, it's not the
grant
10
committee,
county.
Okay.
I thought it
It
was.
has nothing to do, this is for the old grants they give
Okay.
out. If anything lingering comes back, so we can deal with it.
All right, well, I just know we had a meeting here recently and
Right.
grant.
No, it's all right. Okay, any more old business? Review and discuss claims for board approval.
Move to approve?
Here a second?
Okay, I got it.
Here a second?
Mike,
Okay.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Now, anybody from the audience like to speak? 5 minutes?
I just got a quick question.
Will you go to the,
Sorry. Joe. Okay.
You know, I asked this before when Mr. Kyle was here. Who pays him? I mean, I know
City does.
for a fact that one of our council people went and promised to an entire community, and he was king tut that night, that Lawrenceburg would meet them halfway with their pool. And I'm talking about Greendale. Well, I thought council was a whole. And is Riverboat paying him, or our tax money paying him?
Ma'am, when I was at that Greendale meeting, I didn't promise anything. They asked
Well-
me and I said I was in support of it.
You said, and I'm verbatim, I will see that Lawrenceburg meets you halfway for your pool. Well, now, Mr. Lawrence, there's how many councilmen and women? I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. We're never going to go further if 2 or 3 go one way, 2 or 3 are going the other way. We can't go anywhere. And every time we look around, Mr. Kyle's here, which, you know, you're really concerned about money, as I am, I mean, and everybody else I'm sure sitting up there. But why is it that he gets called when we have a city attorney?
Because
I just don't get that.
we have the right.
If he's your attorney, and Doug's attorney, and Jane's attorney, why is the taxpayers paying that, or the city?
Okay.
Because that's what the state statute says, that we have that right.
He's being paid out of riverboat monies. He's not being paid out of the tax budget because it doesn't extend that far. He's
That
being
money's still
paid out of
going to you.
riverboat money.
Okay, well, I'm just suggesting that as a council person, people refrain from making promises that they
I didn't
can't
make a
keep.
promise, man.
Well, somebody called me, and this was a reputable man, a member of that council out there, and said, he said he was King Tut because he promised that he would meet them halfway. You can't make a promise like that, Mike, if you're going to work together. I'm sorry.
I didn't even get out of my seat. They asked me.
But you
how I
made a
felt,
comment.
Okay, thank you.
And I do support it.
Who's
Well,
next?
oh, yeah, and that's why you want this loan committee changed.
Fred, you next?
Yes, sir. I'll be brief. I just want to know, how have the previous loans been funded or established since there hasn't been an ordinance for those? And so,
what?
how have the previous loans been paid out or set up since there's been no ordinance for them?
As I remember, although I was not a part of it, as I remember, Fred, the council voted to establish a loan committee. The mayor then appointed the council to the loan committee. Then when the loan committee made a decision, it was brought before the council, even though they're the same people, and voted on it. That's how things were passed.
Okay. And how,
I was on council at that time to pass it was Mr. Bill Bell.
okay.
And paperwork was done, interlocal agreements and all the official paperwork was
Interlocals.
done.
And then it was discontinued, the loan committee was discontinued until further, about 4 years ago. Maybe 3.
09.
But what about the loan since '09?
It was not, the committee was not extinguished, whatever you want to call it, but it was merely there'll be no more loans until further notice, so there'll be no more actions. And they voted for that too.
Okay, so there's been no more loans since '09?
I think it was 09, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure,
There
I think it was
hasn't been.
'09. That's when I got involved.
When they
Okay.
stopped, actually stopped the loan committee, Fred, there have been no loans since then.
All right, thank you.
Any more from the audience? Hearing none. Motion for adjournment?
So moved.
For a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Doug, was that you?
Second.
Hey, Paul. Paul. Me. Mike.
See that back line?
Who are they meeting with?
If I can do it, why not? I said, because we just had a big old hairy thing, a little.
What are you doing?
I told him he has to come over a dumpster. I said, because we had a big to-do over a dumpster up on the hill. I said, now, I'm tired of it. And no, you hurdle. Well, but that's beside the point. What you have to do, he has to do, right? Okay? And we told him that too. We said, but see, he calls his friend